So thank you for joining us today. I'm Emily at SpyCloud, and today's demo slash webinar hybrid, or as some like to call it, a deminar, we'll be giving you an inside look at SpyCloud's consumer risk protection for financial services, showing how you can better safeguard consumer digital identities and stop high-risk attacks tied to malware, helping you more confidently and efficiently answer the ultimate question: is this a legitimate customer trying to do business with me, or a criminal using stolen information? So our subject matter expert today is Colette Tomaszak here at SpyCloud. She's our Director of Product Marketing. Colette's going to start out by giving us some background on the massive scale of identity exposure within the financial services industry, and then jump into a live demo that exemplifies how SpyCloud's API can be leveraged within your own applications. So for those of you that were able to join us live today, thank you. And please feel free to chat with us and use that Q&A feature in Zoom to ask questions. And we'll try to leave some time at the end to address those. And anything we aren't able to address live, we'll make sure to follow up with you. So Colette, we'll hand it over to you. I'm excited to hear from you today, and let's dive in.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. So before we get started, I want to give you some scoop on who SpyCloud is. So our mission is really to help you disrupt cybercrime by enabling you and your teams, whether it be security, fraud, or even application and product teams, to really act on what cyber criminals know about your business and your consumers. And while we solve for a diverse set of use cases focused on leveraging our darknet telemetry to safeguard digital identities, today we're really going to be focusing on SpyCloud's consumer risk protection solution. So criminals are really increasingly motivated to exploit customers' poor cyber hygiene and discover new ways to profit from account takeover, both in the traditional use case of breached credentials to log into customer accounts, as well as emerging or more sophisticated techniques like session hijacking. So really, businesses today need direct insights into their customers' exposures that include authentication or access details, including credentials and cookies leaked in breaches or exfiltrated from malware-infected devices. And with SpyCloud, your customer exposures don't have to affect your business's productivity or even your bottom line. So our consumer risk protection solution allows financial institutions to really de-risk consumer compromise. And we do this by enforcing strong passwords at account creation and identifying compromised users at login or at the point of transaction to really uphold and maintain account integrity. We also help enterprises maximize operational efficiency by automating that ATO prevention and the efforts around it to decrease that need for manual intervention. We also help you uncover undetectable risks by identifying malware-infected consumers and really preventing MFA and even passkey bypass to protect your users' web sessions. So now that you have a sneak peek into who SpyCloud is and what our consumer risk protection solution offers, let's get into some of the challenges that are facing financial institutions today. So a critical factor contributing to the success of account takeovers is the challenge of actually discerning the legitimacy of individuals interacting with your site. And the ATO problem is intensifying, with attacks soaring 354% year over year. So while security teams are really doing what they can with existing solutions to strengthen customer account security, they're faced with challenges that are outside of their control, like a user's poor security hygiene and behavior that puts their own digital identity at risk. And our own analysis reveals that it's still a concerning 74% password reuse rate amongst individuals who were exposed in 2 or more breaches, which this significantly contributes to the success of automated ATO attacks. And whether it's their own poor password hygiene or data that's been exposed in breaches outside of their own control, meeting customer expectations really involves staying ahead of innovative criminal tactics and implementing more robust measures for account safety. And it's still a substantial 73% of customers really perceive the brand as being accountable for preventing ATO and protecting those consumer credentials really emphasizing the importance of trust for long-term customer satisfaction as well as loyalty. So, in the face of these evolving criminal tactics and heightened impersonation skills, adopting new solutions really becomes imperative. And the tools and solutions that enterprises use need to provide that visibility necessary to proactively decrease risk, but also enhance overall security. So, how can you tell if your customer is an actual consumer or a criminal? Or are you able to even tell if that customer's credentials have been exposed via a malware infection and that they're at high risk of account takeover? So, despite a robust lineup of ATO prevention tools an organization might have in their toolbox, critical insights still remain missing that leave visibility gaps and keep doors open for attacks. And while many tools provide information on data exposed in a breach, there are still really limited solutions that provide definitive evidence that a user has been infected with malware. And this is just one element of it. On the other side, no one's able to innovate as fast as a cyber criminal looking to profit. And it's becoming increasingly difficult for organizations to keep up with the pace at which cyber criminals are evolving their tactics. And this includes MFA bypass, like through a stolen session cookie that was exfiltrated from an InfoStealer malware infected device. And this grants that criminal access to an already authenticated session, completely sidestepping authentication protocols put in place to really preserve account integrity. And we know that fraud and security teams want to be able to close those visibility gaps and really keep up with innovation and new attack methods. But new solutions that are being considered really need to increase account security, but without sacrificing team productivity, customer experience, and your organization's bottom line. And we know automation is essential to that, and SpyCloud really supplies you the data you need to proactively protect accounts while also seamlessly integrating our solutions into your already existing workflows. So, how exposed are your customers? So, we did a little experiment and we ran the top 50 banks operating in the US, according to total assets based on S&P, through SpyCloud's database to show you the volume of malware infected users with exposed credentials, PII, and other data. So, you can see that for these top 50 banks collectively, on average, there are over 6,000 infected consumers and a total infected customer count of over 322,000. And this is all just based on our sample data from the last 6 months. But there is one caveat to mention around these numbers. The numbers are only a minimum reflection of the actual exposures tied to malware. And that's because our counts for this data pool only includes the infected consumers where the company URL was included in the malware log. So this doesn't account for active infections that haven't yet captured the consumer's login for the sites they haven't accessed yet. So the point is, the number of infected consumers you are doing business with is likely much higher. So what data do you need to understand if a consumer is truly a consumer or a criminal taking over the account? And with data, there's always a concern. Data is commoditized. Threat intel data can get stale really quickly. And it's hard to make informed decisions when the quality of your data is limited, old, or inactionable. So SpyCloud collects data from darknet sources that really other providers simply can't access. Where intel is fresh, it's rapidly delivered as we continuously ingest new data. And our intent is to be your go-to source for the missing data that you need to really act on what cyber criminals know about your consumers, while also seamlessly fitting into your existing workflows to help scale detection, response, and enable you to customize the action that you need to take to proactively protect consumers' digital identities and prevent that account takeover. So, with clear visibility and that more comprehensive view into your consumers' exposures, SpyCloud helps you differentiate between high risk and low risk profiles and really eliminate the guessing game of customer or criminal. And a critical component of essentially winning at this guessing game is realizing that an identity is more than just credentials. And for this, you need data diversity. And our repository has over 200 plus asset types that we recapture and alert on. So when thinking ATO prevention with credentials, think email plus password, think session cookies, think passkeys. And coupled with our password cracking capabilities, 90% of our passwords are available in plain text, which makes it incredibly easy to determine if your user's credentials within your application have also been exposed elsewhere. And this is just one layer. So SpyCloud also gives you insight into sensitive PII, like date of birth, social security numbers, driver's licenses, and more. And these are all potential tools for impersonation and identity theft. But also we give you financial data such as exposed banking information and credit cards that are often used for fraudulent activities. But the cherry on top of all of this is SpyCloud's ability to detect if your users have been infected with info-stealer malware and report on what unique authentication data, like session cookies, have been exposed. So our analytics really correlate billions of data points from diverse sources to uncover exposures across your consumers' digital identities to really give you the confidence to take the right action, but at the right time. But what about the consumer journey? A common concern really with security teams and fraud teams is balancing that account protection without creating unnecessary friction in the journey. And by knowing what criminals have in hand to use against your business and your consumers, your teams can really devalue that and force friction with the customer base where it needs to happen, but not across the board. So for low risk users, they should experience a more seamless journey. And enforcing this should be super easy and really an automated workflow for your teams. For high risk users, on the other hand, like ones infected with malware, this is where you might consider a little more friction acceptable. And with SpyCloud's darknet telemetry, you can customize the experience based on the insights that you now have into the consumer's exposures. And then the actions you deem appropriate based on their level of risk and apply friction only when necessary. So customizing the journey should be really straightforward and allowing you to neutralize the value of those stolen credentials, so you can enhance efficiency by automating that follow-up authentication and really reduce friction for low-risk users and ensure an overall positive and secure experience within your site or application. So next, we're going to walk through a demo of both low risk and high risk user experiences and what it could look like based on the data you can leverage with SpyCloud to make those decisions. So just a disclaimer, this is not our product. This is just kind of an example simulation of where you can plug in SpyCloud's API and what that could look like in your potential site. So let's flip over to the demo. Here we have a fictional, let's call it a bank, and this bank's called SpyFactor. And we want to explore two use cases. We're going to start off with low risk of ATO. So what this looks like is everything on the left-hand side over here, you can see it correlated to the API call on the right. So we can follow along. But in this scenario, for a low risk user, we have Elise. Elise wants to log in. She wants to take a look at her bank account, maybe make some transactions, all the good stuff, and she's going to log in. So we're going to run that data and take a look. And here we see that there are some breaches tied to Elise. And you can see recency of it, number of exposures, plain text password associated with it. But here you can really click in and get more information on the actual breach. So we're going to look at Luxottica, for example. So this one is Luxottica. It's an Italian eyewear conglomerate company. They also manufacture Ray-Ban. Maybe Elise was really into Ray-Bans like everybody else and then got her information breached through this site. But here you can see additional details like the recapture date, the number of total records, the type of breach it is, and then additional assets exposed in this breach. So with this information, you can determine the type of action that you want to take for Elise when she logs into her account. And while some might choose no friction, which means do nothing, for financial institutions, a little friction probably is a little more tolerable, especially as consumers probably will tolerate that when it's their financials at stake. So here, what we see most of our customers doing in terms of the type of action taken is MFA. So we're going to make sure that it is Elise actually logging in and checking her bank information. So Elise is going to log in. She's going to get an SMS notification with a code to verify her identity. She's going to plug that in, and then she's able to verify her account, log in, and proceed with making any other transactions desired. So let's look at what a high risk situation would look like. So when a user is infected with malware, with exposed credentials, here we're going to look at Arden. Arden wants to log into her account using this password. We're going to run that on our back end. And here we're going to see that there's malware tied to this specifically. Number of breaches, number of passwords, all of that. But we're going to double click into this specific malware. Here you can see the details on the info stealer, the type of kind of malware it is, number of records. But here you also get all the additional credentials stolen for this user from this malware infection. And you can even see some password reuse across two sites. So again, for this one, given that it is more of a financial scenario in terms of protecting their information and then their funds, password reset is often what other customers choose. Customers are willing to accept a little bit more of that friction, especially when it comes to protecting their account. So we're going to have Arden do a password reset. So let's say when she goes to log in, we're going to run that information, and now we're going to let her know that we want to protect her account and she needs to update her password. So first we're going to verify that it actually is Arden. So she's going to get the SMS code, verify that, and now she gets to go in and change her password. So she has her old password here. And for the new password, she's going to want to use Main Street ! So we're going to put that in here. And then what SpyCloud then does is we're going to take just the first 5 characters of that hash and run it against our database to see if that password has been used before. So if she goes to reset that password, here you can see the hits that we got based on just the first 5 characters of that hash. To look for an exact match, we're going to want to find the hash that's ending in 48DB. And if we look down here, we can see that this one is the specific password that she wants to use. And there's only 7 other exposures and times it showed up in our database. So there's 2 things you can do here. You can allow her to use this password, or you can also suggest to the customer to choose a more secure password. So it's up to you in terms of how you would want to tailor her experience for this. But let's say, great, this password's accepted. She gets to log in and she can now make financial transactions, check her statements, transfer funds, whatever she likes to do. And that's kind of the overview in terms of how you can tailor the journey and take different actions based on the risk in terms of what you're willing to tolerate for a risk level and what you feel your customers might be able to tolerate in terms of friction. So here we can go into any Q&A. So you can post that in the Zoom chat and we can tackle that. But that's it for the overview of SpyCloud and what we offer and how you can customize that journey using darknet data from SpyCloud.